laxative effect wasn't the worst part. It was the taste of it, because it had that fake sweetness that made me want to vomit like 3 glasses in. And I had like 20 glasses remaining at that point. There was a point that I did projectile vomit, but thankfully that was mostly already empty at that point. So I get in there, and they're like, okay, we're gonna sedate you, and then we're gonna look inside you. I didn't notice any sedation, I was completely awake the whole time. And, it's not a fun place to be. But they're like, yeah, okay, so what you've known for the last 2-3 months, since that first test you did saying that inflammation exists in there, yeah, it turned out to be accurate, and we can actually prescribe you shit now. The thing is, the prescription they gave me was prednisone, which is a very powerful steroid. A corticosteroid, which is similar to cortisol, the stress hormone. In fact, it replaces cortisol, and to the extent where it causes a dependency. And I'm not sure if this part was a placebo or not, but while I was on it, I wasn't able to feel stressed about anything. I also couldn't think straight, and the act of reading a graph was a Herculean task that took me 2 hours to get 3 points, which I had to do because I still had all my group assignments, group projects, and finals coming up, and I was fucking shit out of my mind on steroids when I had my final. All 4 of them. To the point where, for my econ final, I just could not use any of the formulas because my brain wasn't functioning at that point. So I had to just... Where the hell... I saw it. So, I had to, effectively, try to finish this sentence. If I had a question that had a 30-year period, I had to calculate each year individually and write it down because I could not hold more than that much information in my head at one time. And I passed on my final, so fuck you. So, after the steroid went off, Oh yeah, okay. I got stuff to talk. He's got stuff to say. Yeah, we're going to the big city. So, the steroid wore off. Well, the steroid didn't... You have to wean it because... I didn't mention this part. I was told that there was a chance, a slim, maybe only ever happened twice ever chance, that on my first dose, my hip might just break. It just shatter into a bajillion pieces. So I should be aware of that. I'm like, cool, this disease is just... It's just the best thing ever. That second save file was me moving forward past this save. I didn't actually get... That was 6 or 7 months ago, whenever this came out on Switch, so... that knowledge is also gone. I only have a vague idea of where I'm supposed to go or what I'm... Oh, no. Nope. Or what I'm supposed to be doing. I want to go this way. So... Yeah, so there was a chance of hip break, and I had to drive back to university that day. So I took some that morning. Waited. Oh, by the way, my colonoscopy was scheduled on my birthday, so that's just a fantastic present. Is oh great, I don't get to shit blood anymore. You would think I was being sarcastic, but no, that was actually it. Why can't you just cut him? Thank you. So, the best present you can get is, hey, I'm not shitting blood no more, and I actually have control over my life back. Well, that was not his weakness. So, oh jeez. So I make my way back, and I missed some lectures, and some courses just had this thing is like, okay, so the remainder of this course is going to be on this one subject. And that subject is going to be a modifier on everything you've done up to this point, and that's going to be your final. And I'm like, great, I'm going to not learn or retain any of this super important end of the semester stuff because my brain is dead. But at least I'm not shitting blood 20 times a day. I counted, that's not a lie. So, okay, so every couple weeks I'd have to reduce the amount of the steroid. Well, every week up to a point. Every week I'd have to reduce a dose. And eventually, not until after my finals were over, things sort of calmed down with my brain, but then I got put on another drug. It's like, okay, so this is going to be your maintenance drug. We essentially want you to be on this for essentially the rest of your life because the disease is chronic and has no cure. Ulcerative colitis. Well, there is a cure. I talked about that. That was get your colon removed. Not a favorable option, but it is an option if things don't work out. And it was working out fine. It was working out fine up to a point where I had a corn dog. And in one day, for like 2 weeks, it was like, hey, remember how you were before the idea that you could ever experience treatment was? Let's go back there for 2 to 3 weeks and never get back to where you were at before the steroid, especially since you can't be prescribed the steroid anymore, at least for a year or so, because people who go on that steroid long term do end up getting hip replacements. It's just, is it going to be the first day, or is it going to be like a year down the line? Or more. Because prednisone is a rescue drug for colitis, and Crohn's to an extent. And I'm like, okay, I'm not great, but I can at least finish my academics, because I was in the middle of my last year at this point. And the reason why I didn't just fucking drop it and go on disability, which I could have, was because I was in my last year and I wasn't going to just give everything up that I had done for the last for however long, I don't even remember anymore. Because I'd put a lot of time and money into getting my degree, and I wasn't going to lose that, even if I end up doing nothing with it. So I eventually had what was it? Oh, I was gonna level up. I eventually ended up having a follow-up. And I don't know what I want. I eventually ended up having a follow-up sigmoidoscopy, which is 1/3 of a colonoscopy, and they don't put you on any aesthetic. And it was at that time I learned, oh, the aesthetic actually did do something. I was just too out of it to realize. Because holy shit, getting tube up your butt when you're not on anything to drug you is not a good time. It is not. Especially since they gotta fucking fill that thing full of gas to make sure that, they don't cut up all your edges with the edges of the camera. By the inside edges, I mean like the inside edges of your colon. Because that's a thing that could happen. You don't want it to, but it could. They're like, oh, there's a small chance that we might just completely rupture your insides, but don't worry about that. You don't need to worry about the anal fissure that I'm just warning you about right now. This is really just to keep us safe, just the telling you part. You could just stop that. You just stop talking about it now, I get the idea. So, I get all that done, and they're like, and I tell them everything that happened with the corn dog and the complete ruining of all the progress I had made. And they're like, okay, oh, do they take seeds? Yeah, they take seeds. So I'm like, okay, so clearly the Pentasa, which by the way cost me $160 a month, is not strong enough to get the job done, because I forgot to mention this part. When I was diagnosed, they're like, okay, so you have moderately severe colitis. It seems to, if it started 4 months ago, it progressed extremely fast to get to this point. You really couldn't afford to wait much longer. And I'm like, that's interesting. We're talking about a disease, by the way, in this next town. But it's a damn good thing that I just fucking went to the emergency room, because I was real fucked up and my colon was almost unsalvageable by the time I did get there. So, how many demon things? Oh, I have 88. I think I need a 200 total. I don't even remember what I'm gonna buy. Okay, I wanted... Oh, how do I block? How do I block? How do I... Okay, got it. And... there. So... I love doing that. Oh, he's already dead. Do I win him? Yes, I do. Is cutting him do more? I'm not sure, but either way, that was very good. So... like, okay, so we're gonna have to put you... We're gonna try to put you on another drug. You're insured, right? I'm like, yes. Why? Oh, because this drug costs $3,500 a dose. If you're not. I'm like, oh. Okay. Yeah, and it works similar to this other drug that's not used anymore. The thing we have to warn you about that other drug, though, is because some people that took that other drug, they ended up getting fatal brain infections. I'm like, okay. So we gotta tell. This is just like with the other stuff that we talked about. The only reason we're telling you is because there's a chance that it could happen. If it was an actual concern, because this drug only works in the colon, that drug basically worked everywhere. If it's a concern, then we would have expected maybe like 40 to 50 people minimum to who've taken this new one to have had the brain infection, but we've only had like 2 or 3, and they had there were other things wrong with them that would have contributed to it. So there's really nothing to worry about.